Okay, for our beginning of our study of linear functions, we are going to start with the concept of slope, what slope is and how to measure it. You can see we've got two lines here. One of them, the green line, as you move from left to right, seems to be rising. You say that that line has a positive slope, but it is shallow. The y values do not change very quickly in relation to how the x values are changing. Let's look at this line, the purple line. You would say, as you move from left to right, looking at this graph, that this line appears to be going down. You say that this line has a negative slope. And it also, you could say that it is steep because the y values are changing pretty quickly with relation to the x values. That concept is called slope. Here in this panel, let us formally define what slope is. Slope is a ratio between the change in y values of a linear function to the change in x values. Slope can be calculated with 2 points of a line and the slope formula. And here is the slope formula written down. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1, y1 and x2, y2 are points on the line. So let's use the green line first that we saw in Desmos. Here are the 2 points to this line. And I suggest that if you're brand new to this, that you label the points. I labeled them x1, y1, the coordinates, and I labeled these x2 and y2. So when you plug them into the formula, I want you to notice a couple of things. I invite you to create a little template like this if you're just starting out, where you put little parentheses where you're going to plug the numbers in, whatever the coordinates are, and that you keep these subtraction signs right where they are, okay? So the first thing that I want you to note is that it doesn't matter which point you begin with, as long as you are consistent. So you can see that this y2 is on top of the x2, and the y1 is on top of the x1. Super, super important. So let's see what we've done here. -5 is my y1. So my y2 is -4. So I input -4. My x2, or my x1 is -5. And my x2 is +5. So this brings me to the second thing that I want you guys to note about this formula. And that second thing is the subtraction sign belongs to the formula. You are not allowed to change it or remove it. You have to just leave it there, plug the numbers in, and then do whatever you have to do to get it right when you're simplifying it. And this is what I mean by that. Here is it written out, just like I said. These subtraction signs belong to the formula. They are always there. That's why I invite you to use this little template. You cannot leave this out or forget about it. You may only plug coordinates in like this. See, I have plugged in a -4. I already have a negative. So when I begin simplifying this, I've got -5 minus a -4, which is actually going to become a +4. And over here, I've just got -5 minus 5, which is -10. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish simplifying. -5 plus 4 equals -1 divided by -10. Okay, so one last thing that I need you to know is that when you're done and you have two negatives, a negative divided by a negative, this actually is positive. So this slope is actually 1/10, 1/10. Slope is also sometimes referred to as rise over run. How does the function change in the y values? How quickly do the y values change? How quickly do the x values change? The x values changed quite a lot in this function, as you can tell by how shallow the line was. All right. Before we leave this problem behind, I want to prove to you the other important point, that it doesn't matter what point you begin with. Here, we began with x1, y1, you see, right here, this -5, -5. So now we're going to do the same exact thing with 5, -4. So let's start with the y2. So I've got -4 minus, remember the minus stays with it, a -5. Okay, and I'm going to put that over, since I started with y2, I must start with x2. So let's write a 5 minus a -5, right? X1 is -5, so that's once again going to be a +5. So this is going to simplify to -4 plus 5 over 5 plus 5. So -4 plus 5 is a +1, and 5 plus 5 is a +10. So you can see that it didn't matter. We end up with the same exact slope. So there you have it, slope formula. 2 points on a line. It doesn't matter which one you start with, as long as you are consistent in which one you're writing first and which one you're writing second. And the subtraction signs belong to the formula, and you may not forget about them. See you in the next video.